Hey, there's up. I brought some music back to
Hang 10, everybody.
Hang 10. Hi, I'm Ryan.
I am Anthony.
Ryan. Oh, that's
Whatever.
Hang on. Let me kill these rocking tunes. Just remember those are on. So yeah, Ryan and Hawaiian Anthony.
Hawaiian Anthony. Kuno. Maybe it's Kuno.
And tonight we'll be doing our top ocean-themed board games. So the three of us, Barros is not here as of yet, but he will be shortly. We'll go over our top 5 favorite ocean games.
Right. So you know everyone's pick.
I do.
So speculation is not going to be your strong suit here.
It's not, but I'll tell you this. First of all, if you are excited to call in, you're more than welcome to call in at call-aboard.com. Which I'll put where is it? There it is. Call-aboard.com. You see what I did there?
Oh.
Yeah. Ceiling text. Call in at call-aboard.com if you'd like. If you're watching this after the fact, feel free to drop in your favorite ocean themed board game.
Yes, please do.
In the comments.
That goes a long way to help the videos too.
Oh.
Engage with us.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess so. So how did you come up with your list?
What an interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, top 5 is always a little more difficult than top 10, although
yeah,
I guess the reason we did that is because it is such a narrow sort of theme, right? I feel like I had to really pick the games that were predominantly based on or in or about the ocean or the sea.
Same.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stretching you could do with this. What I'm saying is, to make the top 10, it would have been doable. But maybe number 10 would have been like, well, there's kind of...
Yeah, that's why I didn't include, like, Spirit Island.
Sure.
Because you could play as Ocean's Hungry Grasp in Spirit Island, but it's largely not really an ocean game.
But it's an island.
It's an island. But it's not like I'm really thinking about the ocean this one.
I agree. And so what I'm curious about, besides if there's crossover, which is always interesting, but I'm curious if one of us has a pick that the other one considered and didn't make the cut for one reason, how that outlook might go.
Well, we won't know.
See.
But by the way, I see some chat. I see Marcel's in the chat.
What's up?
And I see Dan's in the chat.
What's up, Dan?
And at any moment, Chris Barros will be in the room.
I do.
But I'm going to go on and pull it up. Wait a minute. Maybe now. Oh, hey, there he is. Hear your whistle. It's not. We haven't.
There you go. Choo choo, baby.
Yeah. Great one with the honorable mention battleships, and coming out hot with Aquatica, also a solid title.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Barros, welcome to.
Hey, I'm here.
Welcome to Call Aboard. I need to ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
How did you come up with your list?
So I first eliminated games that were more pirate than ocean.
Ooh. Okay.
Because I felt some games were more that on my list initially were a lot more piratey than they were oceany.
I mean, pirates are ocean.
I know, but I
I
wanted.
wonder why I'm saying this right now.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Right before you came in, I said, I'll be very curious, besides if there's crossovers, but if there's picks that one of us make that another person said, I kept that off my list for a reason. And the pirate thing is certainly a reason.
Well, I guess if it's like a game where it's focusing like on walking the plank, that's probably not a good one.
But maybe I felt like piracy as the theme, if it was more at the heart than the ocean was a part of it.
Yeah.
Isn't that around this time of year anyway?
It is.
Pirate
It is. So that was the reason I considered that initially, but I was like, no. So I kept it as that was part of my process.
Well, I'm glad you went with that rule.
Yeah,
Yarg.
And if you'd like to call in with your favorite pirate-related game as well, too, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly could fit, but I want to save it for a pirate list in the future.
No, for sure. But for the purposes of call aboard or participating in the chat,
We'll do this
feel
one.
free to stretch this theme as much as
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could.
Because it is stretchable.
It is
Oh, yeah.
stretchable.
It stretches as wide as the ocean itself.
Well, Barros, you want to kick it off?
Well, we could do that with me. So my first game, I exactly know what my game is. My number 4, I might not remember. No, my number 5 is the evolution of a game. And it's very appropriate for this episode because it's the evolution of a game called Evolution. And I actually think, and I've only had a chance to play this one once, but it stood out to me as a little bit more streamlined. It felt like things connected a little bit better in this one. But if you've played Evolution, I think you're going to understand why I picked this. It's definitely very well connected. But North Star Game Studio, who had done Evolution, which actually originated from another card-based game altogether, I learned at last PAX Unplugged. But it is a game where you are creating this space and these evolving creatures, and as you're doing it, I think it's really interesting because you're giving them these traits to help them survive. But it's so perfect for this theme because it's built around the ocean, right? And you're doing that within that setting. So the ocean is at the heart of it, right? Thematically, the game is called, obviously, Oceans.
But you're building a creature, right?
You're building creatures
basically.
and you're trying to survive. Like you're building, because I very much like Evolution. And again, it's funny because I don't own Oceans and I own Evolution, but I could very easily say if I ever own Oceans, Evolution might hit the road because
evolve.
It's certainly one that, if you like the concept though of actually taking and building an actual creature essentially based on these traits, it's extremely interesting to see of like, how am I going to do this? Am I able to feed my creature? In terms of the fact that you have population, you have size, and these other factors that come into play. So for me, there's a lot going on. It's interesting to see the creatures that people create in this game and in this series as a whole. It is a standalone, so I point that out. It is not, even though it's obviously got that DNA.
It's Oceans and Evolution game, right?
Yeah. So it's a standalone game, so you can just pick this game up. You don't need Evolution, which is nice. But yeah, I really like Oceans. And again, I just, there's something about it that I like just a little bit better than Evolution. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, if you like the Evolution system, you like Oceans, and I'd argue you might like it better.
Okay.
So that's Oceans.
That's a solid pick.
Yeah.
It's not questionable.
Right.
No,
it is Oceans.
Yeah.
There's no question on that one, I would hope.
I have several thoughts on this, and so before my train of thought escapes me, I'm going to try to get them all. Yes, that was one of the points I was going to make. It's obvious. I've never played this game. If I did, it probably would be on my list. I've played Evolution once. Didn't love it.
Yeah.
I've heard everything you said about Oceans. I've heard before, so I would give it a shot.
Yep.
Lastly, I have a version of Evolution, and I can't remember what the subtitle is, but it's fairly new, and it's some sort of lighter, streamlined version of, I guess, the original game. It's called Evolution something.
Okay, and there's also like Nature or something now, or I can't remember what the other one is, which essentially is taking Evolution and lightened it. I don't know if it lightened it. I think it's Nature. Yeah. Okay. So Nature, which streamline. Yeah. Oh, to that point, yeah, Marcel, I did think about Dead Man Tell No Tales, but Dead Man Tell No Tales, yes, there's water, but there's more fire than there is water in Dead Man Tell No Tales. So
I would stress that was Barros's self-imposed rule.
That was yes, it's my own self-imposed rule. I wanted to feature different stuff because I could easily have made a list of all pirate games, and then
I agree.
And then you'd be sitting here saying you picked pirate games, not ocean games.
All right.
And it's me. So you think I don't have 10 pirate games I could name off the top of my head right now?
You probably could.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go right into my number 5, which is
five
not pirate related.
Yeah, right.
It's not. It's actually a game that is best at 8 players. and
Okay.
it's best with everyone on the table. Now, the funny thing is, Marcel brought up honorable mention battleships.
I know
But
exactly
what
what
if-
you're
Oh, I know
talking
your
about.
game now.
Yeah,
But what if
yeah. Are you a captain?
Battleships was an 8-player game called Captain Sonar? Captain Sonar came out in 2016, designed by Roberto Fraga and Johan Lemanier. Now, this game, when it came out, it's one of those games I feel like that really showed in the hobby how can board games be used in non-traditional ways.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the main way is this player board is standing up between both sides of the table, and each player has an asynchronous roll on this submarine. The
Mhm.
goal is to knock out the other submarine. And I absolutely love in Captain Sonar that it's a real-time game. B, everyone is working together and this submarine just keeps falling apart. And C, the captain that gets to move in a snake-like fashion, like the like
The
the
classic
Nokia
cat game. Yeah,
game
yeah.
Snake, right? That's how I know it. You're gonna be moving on this grid, and the radio operator will be trying to figure out what the opposing captain is doing, because each captain needs to say, north, south, east, west, or up, down, left, right,
Mhm.
right? And what's going on is the radio operator of the opposing team is listening in and drawing on a piece of clear plastic these coordinates and trying to move it around the board to see what's a legal move and not, because you can't go through islands because it's a submarine. That's just crazy. And then at a certain point, you're ready to halt, and then it gets a fire the submarine, and everyone gets to a pause because it's real time until everyone gets to a pause,
Hands up.
and that tension's there because if you hit, awesome. If you miss, you kind of also give away your
Where you
position
are, yeah.
too. So you're rushing
And
towards
is it like 2 hits in the game? That's
So
it,
it's
or something?
4 health,
It's
and
just
a
not a lot.
direct
Okay.
hit is 2 hit points,
okay.
and then
yeah.
just a nearby hit is 1.
Got
And
it.
then you can also surface the submarine,
Mhm.
and then that part's great because constantly you're just rushing through the submarine, and you have to surface to erase the engineer's board, I believe. And then what's going on is in this picture, you'll see it right here, like the little drawing. That's how you actually surface it, like clean up everything. Each player has to trace a part of the submarine and sign off on it before you can go dive back in. Holy smokes!
This is the real deal.
This
This
is
is such a unique experience.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a great pick.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone needs to play this game at least once.
I think everyone who's considers themselves to be
a
somewhat of a
hobbyist.
gamer
Yeah.
should play this game.
Yes.
I feel like it has an opportunity to be a sort of welcoming game, but it has a little too much complexity
little-
for
Yeah.
a bunch of new people.
And it's the real time tension
Yeah.
is gonna turn people away that are brand new
absolutely.
into board gaming.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate. It's a team based game, but yeah, for sure. If I used to see it all the time at conventions.
No, it's stressful.
You know?
It's really
Yeah, like,
stressful.
I think if this wasn't 8-player, it would have been on
Well,
my
they have-
list.
Yeah, for sure, it's a great con game.
Don't
yeah.
they have a shorter version of this?
Sonar
Yeah,
is
right.
that
Yeah.
one,
Just
which
2.
Eddie brought it up,
Yeah.
and that
Oh,
one's not
really?
real time,
That one is not real time
Okay.
now.
and it's a smaller board, not real time. And
But I like
honestly, I kind of
Captain's-
lose the.
But I
interest.
like Captain Sonar better than Sonar.
Yeah.
But Captain Sonar, again, you need that 8. But man, if you can get that 8, and it's as a con game, totally.
Yeah.
I
I haven't
have a point. I don't know.
But-
Totally. I think yes, but you want to play in not a super noisy place.
That's true.
Well, yeah, like
I mean, like
that's for sure.
It could be a little like ridiculous
Because you want to listen to the other.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't be the loud. You're right. It can't be the loud conference.
No.
Gameplay hall. Or
I've
whatever.
had fond memories of this game at my old office because we would have a conference room, and conference room tables are perfect for it because then you have just 2 sides.
Yep.
The room is just completely enclosed, and you
fancy
just
chairs,
fancy chairs. You could have the screen play like submarine noises.
totally.
By the way, best submarine, I would go with Penguin submarine from Batman the movie, the 60s Batman, when it looks like a penguin.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I am not ready to rank submarines.
Submarines.
I will tell you though, I did work at an escape room for some time, and we had a submarine room, and it was the hardest one we had.
Oh yeah.
Boy, was it good!
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh,
It was very
man.
thematic.
Oh man.
So that's my number 5, Captain Sonar. Not a pirate game, totally an ocean game.
I'm not claiming that it can't be pirate and ocean.
Totally an ocean game.
No, now it's just an over/under how many
Yeah,
pirate games
yeah.
are in the remaining 4.
No, just I think everyone just I think a lot of people expected me, like
Yeah.
Marcel noted, to have a bunch of pirate games, and I didn't go there. So
All right.
Don't go there.
Yarg.
All right, my number 5 is a twist or a new skin on an old classic in the Carcassonne family of games. This one is Carcassonne South Seas. If you have never, ever, ever heard of Carcassonne before, it's a tile laying game, and that's all I'll kind of tell you about that. If you do know it, here's how it's different. It is about collecting resources as opposed to just getting, points for the areas that you're completing. So as you put out your tiles there, they're going to be adding features to islands, docks there or boardwalk type things. And then there's like some markets in the middle there. And you can do the same basic things that you do in regular Carcassonne, where you can stand on the road or on the land or in the ocean in this aspect to get those different resources. The other thing that's kind of cool about this is it tightens the game up a ton because you only have 4 meeples in this, which is, I think, the lowest of any Carcassonne game. But essentially, when you finish one of those features, you'll get that many resources. So if you finished an island and there was, 3 bananas on there, you're going to get 3 bananas. If you finished the dock walking there, those are shells. And then the fish are in the ocean. The cool thing about the fishing is you can see that green guy is going to be laying down like a farmer. He's a fisherman. You have to be in the ocean already. And then you have to play a tile that has that small little fishing rowboat in it. And that's how you collect fish in that ocean region that you're in. Okay. And once that happens, you're going to cover up. See in that picture, there's a couple of like double fish icons.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody successfully fishes, you're going to cover one of those up with another boat, making it less, plentiful of fish. At the end of your turn, you can then trade in tokens of those 3 types of resources for those point valued ships that are basically coming into dock, I guess. And that's how you're getting that. So real simple. You just trade in resources to get those ships of all different point values. I think you play through until all the ships are taken, or maybe it's all the tiles are built. I forget which one. That's it. It's super simple. I like the theme because it's, again, very summery and ocean sort of paradise thing-ish. And Carcassonne is a favorite of ours. So that's South Seas, definitely in the title.
I like the twist on how they change it with Carp, but it's about the resources. I like that aspect.
Because most other Carcassonne skins are, I haven't played all of them, but most of them score the same basic way, right?
Yeah, most of them are the same essential thing, just adding a new complication of some sort. So, I like that.
Is there a preferred player count you have for this one?
I've probably only played this at 2, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's probably just me and my wife. But it doesn't take very long. Like I said, you only have 4 meeples, so you're not going to really be out there that long.
Yeah.
And if you finish one of those markets, which is the monastery and the regular one, you get to take any ship for free. So it's a good way to get like a high value one that maybe you actually don't have the resources for.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very well.
Cool. Marcel's, by the way, bringing up some deep dive game. What game was that?
I wonder if he might be talking actually about,
because I don't remember bringing a deep dive.
He's talking about one I brought, which may or may not be on my list.
Oh, okay.
So we'll
find out.
But let me go to my number 4. My number 4 is one that I think I've only played in person once, but it's on Board Game Arena. It's, I think, fairly described as almost like a island version of Stone Age, because it really does have that vibe if you've played Stone Age.
With the smelly cup.
Well, not the smelly cup part, but
that's the part that sticks out to me the most, right? That cup smells.
It does smell. I don't think I know what game you're referencing there.
But it's a game called Hawaii. So if you look at the cover.
Oh, sorry. Well, you looked at it.
No, it's okay. You could look at that cover.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it screams, the I kind of that vibe that I get from Stone Age 2 in terms of just the overall. But it is definitely one of these games where you're going to be building out your island, and I find it's got a lot of this pointality aspect going on that you definitely find with a Stone Age. You're going to see that you are building your own island. So I think that is one of the distinct factors here. You're working on yours. It's not a joint thing. So I'm not going to claim interaction is incredibly high with this one from my memories here. But it is one that I find incredibly satisfactory, partially for the reason that you talk about Carcassonne too, which is like it's placing those tiles down, but in this case, building my own island. I admit the initial draw to this game also was because I love Hawaii, and it was called Hawaii. But you are going to be sending people out to get those resources. You're placing the tiles down to potentially score the most points. It's really fairly straightforward in terms of gameplay. Like I can teach this game to pretty much anyone. And my initial introduction to this was actually, I think, Board Game Arena, and because someone taught it to me, and then I went and I was at one of the cons. I got to play a physical copy, and then put it back onto the table there, and then. I think it was actually PAX Unplugged where I saw it in like the library one year. And then again, play it on Board Game Arena. But very straightforward overall game of just kind of building out your island, pointality concept. And if you've played any of those style games, you're going to have the ability to pick this one up pretty quick because it's got that happening. Again, I would just say too, you do have to be mindful of all the different ways you can score. Because of course, as you're kind of in your own world, I still think you need to be kind of aware of what other people are doing. But if you're looking for interaction, probably less interesting. So it may not be quite up your alley for that aspect. But again, I just think it's an easy game to kind of put on the table, teach some people who maybe don't play games all the time. But at the same time, still interesting enough. And again, I make that Stone Age comparison just because that's also one that I feel like is a nice, hey, let's try this and see what you think. It's so it gets you, can get you in there. Yeah. So,
sounds cool.
And so that's Hawaii. I again, if you want to check this one out, I really like this. Again, the ocean from a thematic perspective is the fact that it's an island, it's in the middle. So
that's what it's called shenanigans on. This is not an ocean game.
Okay, well, I call it what it is. It's an island, and you don't have an island without the ocean. So I wanted to talk with this one and putting it in here. I don't care. So
do they even cross the
island
ocean?
without an ocean?
I see these guys on boats.
There's
crossing the ocean.
Well, no, because you're collecting resources, and wait, so you are dealing with the ocean. Yes.
Okay. Right.
You are involved with the ocean. I don't. You can argue. Maybe it's not as heavily involved with the ocean. I believe there's fishing in there. Yeah. So, you've got some things like that. Again, you're not in the ocean.
Fish in Hawaii is really good too.
Yeah, it is.
So is the pineapple.
Yeah. You're not in the ocean in terms of as players. That I will say that.
Okay. So. All right. Tier list.
Yeah. I'm allowing it. So I don't give a crap what you say.
Well, let me tell you this about my number 4.
No.
But growing up, I remember when Adult Swim started, when I think I was like starting high school or college. And the one show that really stood out to me was C-Lab 2021.
Oh my God, such a good show.
Right? This is not the C-Lab 2021 board game at all.
Oh,
but when I saw it, I was like, this looks a little like C-Lab 2021. And it was designed by the same designer who did Pulsar 2849.
Okay.
And that, of course, is Underwater Cities.
See, I have not played this, and I guarantee you, had I played this, this would be a game on my list. From what I've heard.
Look, see, there's a C-Lab.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
See that.
Right. Okay. Do you want the mustache on or off?
Yeah.
So Underwater Cities, designed by Vladimir Suchi, came out in 2018. when it was pitched to me, at this point, I was really into terraforming Mars, and someone told me, "Hey, there's a better terraforming Mars," and I'm like, "Don't tell me this. I already bought terraforming Mars," and it was Underwater Cities. Because it really feels like terraforming Mars, except there's tiered cards. Because the thing about terraforming Mars is that when you're building up your tableau of cards, some cards might come early or later in the game, but they're all completely shuffled. They can come at any point, so it might not be relevant. This has actually tiered decks. Okay. And what you're doing is you're building out your underwater cities, your little domes that are out there. You're spending resources to build these domes that are playing with cards in your tableau. They'll be generating specific resources. They'll be generating specific victory points, and then you're also trying to connect your domes with these tunnels, and you'll be trying to connect to different these 3 different hexagon tiles that are on the board that will be randomly drawn, and they'll give you different bonus points or different bonus resources when you connect to it. It's all pretty cool. It's very satisfying when it actually happens. And there's also endpoint victory. There's victory point cards that come towards later in the game that you could really focus on. I have a great time with this one. It has different sections for kind of the worker placement, because you're taking essentially, I guess, I don't know what the thematic reason is, but you take these doors to just go into like a specific region and be like, I played a green card, so I get to go to the green area, so I'll place my door here and do whatever actions.
Placing doors in is it the underwater city?
Yeah, I guess so.
I was like, you're not putting just random doors in the ocean. It's like as part of a connected.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm sure it's very scientific. But and also I think there was like an Ali G card in this game too.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, that's Underwater Cities. If you like terraforming Mars, you should give it a shot. And there's also an expansion for it called New Discovery that comes with inset boards, which is pretty crucial, because if you take a look at this image on the top left, one small move and those pieces can kind of roll all over the place.
So they should have just. There was an Ali G.
Yes, an Ali G card.
Why?
Like on the art, it looks like Ali G.
Huh. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like a C-Lab game now, though. That's what I now realize. Yeah. I don't know what a C-Lab game would consist of, and I'm pretty sure.
I hope Bizarro.
Oh God.
Yes. Anyways,
Dolphins.
That's Underwater Cities. Go check it out.
Very nice.
My number 4, totally an underwater game.
Totally.
No, totally ocean.
Completely.
I mean, putting doors in the ocean is.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like. Are they like sealing the passage between like two?
Yeah, it's like those like
it's
like those space doors, Sorry.
My number 4 is also definitely within a category because of the same reason why your number 5 was. It's basically the name with a couple of extra letters. This is Oceanos, which is oceans in another language. Oceanos is designed by Antoine Bauza, who's one of my favorite designers.
Yep.
This is a game that I feel like, I don't know, really maybe didn't get that much attention, or maybe it didn't, I just don't see it. But it's got a really cool toy factor. As you can see in that middle picture, you're going to be basically building your submarine fish collecting machine. And by the way, this has got this sort of underwater steampunk.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very steampunk.
It is like that guy is sipping tea, I think, in his sub. I believe so. Yeah. If he's not, someone definitely is. The characters are all different colors.
So everyone has their own unique submarine.
They do. And as you can see there, there's all these extra pieces because throughout the game you can make upgrades to your submarine as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. The thing in the middle, that number is how much sea life you can collect and hold. There's also like extra fuel, which will let you place some extra cards. The tail end of it, the propeller type area, just gives you straight up victory points. So that when you start with the 0, you can upgrade that as well. And so what you're doing to this game is it's got this cool way to deal out the cards where once per round, somebody's the captain, or I forget what they call it. And essentially everybody else gets 2 cards. They decide which one they want to keep, and they give the other one to that captain. So they get sort of the last ones. So it becomes, well, I really want this, but I also don't want to give this away.
Yeah.
And what you're doing with those cards, you're just building this sort of row as you're exploring. So in the first round of the game, you're going to be exploring the sort of most shallow part of the ocean towards the surface, and the middle one, and the one at the end. It's all really about the symbology on the cards. There's a few ways to get points. Any sea life is worth points there, and again, they're cool because they have like an octopus with like a monocle and like a whale with like a top hat and all that stuff.
This one have a binky.
Yeah. So that's the Kraken. That is the baby.
The baby Kraken.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. So you'll basically keep doing that with the cards until you finish your first row, and you'll be able to then collect some points. You're going to keep doing that in the next 2 rounds, but there's other endgame scoring as well. So besides the regular sea creatures, there's also coral reef icons. And at the end of the game, you're going to get points for your largest continuous, matching coral reef areas on your cards. There's also treasure chests.
Oh, yeah.
That you can get in the game, but the way you get them is that you have to deploy divers, and that's one of the other things in your sub. You get an extra, more divers, because at the end of the game, that diver is going to basically go from where they put them and all the way up in that column. So the more treasures they collect, the more you'll pull out of the bag and get more points. When you pull out of the bag, you get the different treasure values there. And then there's also the crystals, which lets you do the upgrade. So you have to have one crystal to do an upgrade from like a level 1 to a level 2, but then 2 of them to go up to the next level and all that jazz. Really simple. Like I said, it's got a cool toy factor in that you're building a sub. It can get a little fiddly. My only complaint about it is that I wish the pieces were I don't know correct puzzle terminology, but the little thingy that sticks out and the hole that it goes in were a little bit bigger.
The hole of the ship?
No.
Like the front?
The
thingy?
No, I'm talking about physical puzzle pieces.
Oh, sorry.
No. Like physical, the notch and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
They're real small on here. And when you try to take them apart, it's just kind of tight and you get a little bit of rippage. I feel like if there were those wider ones, that I know that they can might be a little better.
Yeah.
But that's a very nitpicky complaint. So Oceano is really cool, just kind of collection game. But again, look at that little thing with the cards. It makes it a little bit different.
Cool. Interesting.
It's effectively like 20,000 Leagues, right?
Yeah.
So Captain Nemo does all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in that sort of fantasy type of world.
Well, my number 3, I will tell you, is what Marcel's talking about. So what it's a small game too. It's a very small game. You can bring it up. It is a great little game, actually. Oink Games did this one. And with this one, what's happening is we're going to be all divers. And we're going to play for 3 rounds. Technically, could play 1 round. There'll be no point because you need multiple rounds. But 1 round scoring would be awful. It'd be low. What you're going to do is you're going to roll a die to move down in the ocean. Now, mind you, the tokens have these 1, 2, 3, and 4 dots. And as you're going down, there's higher value scores under the larger amount of dots. So the 1's low scoring, 2, a little bit more, 3, you get the idea. Here's the problem. You are going to declare at the start of your turn, I am going forward, which means you're going deeper down. Then you're going to roll. And you're going to move. At a certain point, you're going to decide to turn around. But there's a little complication. Every time you land on one and you decide to say, pick it up, what happens is you've now picked up essentially a treasure. You're going to take it over into your hand. Now, when it comes back around to you on your turn, every time you're on your way down or working way back up, now 1 oxygen will be depleted. Now, everyone is sharing the oxygen.
Yeah, from the single submarine.
From the single submarine. So you have to be very mindful of what other people are doing. Someone who hasn't got that far and sees these people down low might say, man, I'm not getting anywhere. You know what? I'm just going to turn around, take this and make them, deal with the wrath of the oxygen. This is why playing through the 3 rounds is so incredibly important, because you're going to get to those 4. You're going to get to the 3s and the 4s, no problem. But it's going to take some rounds to get there.
Yeah, and you get that meta game going in too by that last round, because you're like, you're starting to see who's really pushing their luck and how far people are willing to go.
And there's a game that ends up happening of you don't want to pick it up yet. You don't want to pick it up yet. And then when I play this with my family, my son's like, I'm going to pick it up. I'm like, yeah.
There's an expansion coming soon too.
Oh yeah, and there is an expansion that's just a die. Like there's a die that, like a variable die that changes it up a little bit, but I know there was more to that coming. But yeah. The oxygen is what you got to be mindful of, but it's a small little game. But what I love about it is, man, it's just so much fun. And it is the meta game that I think makes it so fun. It's who I'm playing with. It changes every time. And the first time you teach someone and they come to the realization of, holy crap, we don't have that much oxygen left. It's always that first round. And then that second and third round, like it clicks.
Yeah.
And they know. So I really enjoy this one. It's really cheap and affordable.
Because when you die, you drop all the pieces where you were.
Yes.
And that spot is now more valuable.
Yeah. You're dropping all the pieces, and then you can, on your way back, I should point out, as you turn around and you're making your way back up, you could choose, if you're landing on spaces, you can choose to drop tokens. So you are able to drop your tokens to make it so you can get back.
Right.
So it's not like you're screwed because you picked up 4 pieces, but I have picked as much as 4 up and been like this close to getting back, and I just couldn't roll a 5 or a 6. And you're like right there, just give me a 5 so I can do the ones. Nope, can't do it. But yeah, that is Deep Sea Adventure. Love this one. Oink Games, they make so many good little games.
I was going to say, yeah.
This is my favorite one that they make.
No, I mean, I'm sure it's one of, if not their most popular game. But they do very good social interaction type of stuff in a small package.
Yeah.
And it's quality stuff.
There's a lot of punch.
Yeah, for sure. This is on my top 10 somewhere. It is not on my top 5.
Yes. Cool. Deep Sea Adventure.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
All right, this one's the pirate.
Yarr.
Now, before I jump into this one, I do want to stress I really focused on games that had heavy focus on the ocean. And I agree with you. Any pirate game can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not putting like, I don't know, Walk the Plank or Skull King. Or,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but, for the same reason that like I was thinking, I'll just say like I went through a list and I was like, oh, Port Royal, but there's boats on water. Who cares?
But hear me out on one of my favorite games to play solo.
Okay.
And that's Merchants and Marauders. Merchants and Marauders came out 2010, and then a couple years later came with an expansion. And in this game, it's very much a sandbox adventure where you can be either a merchant, you don't have to be a pirate, or a marauder. And you'll have different things you want to do, different ways to gain glory points. In this sandbox adventure when you're in the Caribbean, just going around and doing things on collecting different resources.
Technically, they're marauders, not pirates, too.
Well, yeah, but that's right. Yeah, exactly. So you're also going to be smuggling. So the expansion adds like smuggling cards and different like ports you could stop at. But what's really cool about this game is it actually includes a lot of NPCs. And
nice.
Depending on your allegiance to a specific country, they'll either be really after you or not, and collect bounty and rewards.
But you're spending most of your time in this in the sea.
Well,
right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So there is a lot of time in the sea for traveling, for sure, and for pirate combat. You know? But. And the reason why I like playing it solo is because when you get to a port, there's literally like a flow chart of like 12 different things you can do
Okay, that's cool.
So you
That's
spend a
very
whole
neat.
turn like gotta do things, specific actions. You could upgrade ships. You could upgrade your ship. But why would you upgrade your ship when you could just commandeer another one and then take that ship? I think it's pretty neat. There's also different different mission cards will be going on. So very much open world sandbox thing. When we were playing Firefly, I felt like I wanted to play Merchants and Marauders at solo. I don't know what it's like multiplayer because I just
Interesting.
haven't played it multiplayer.
Yeah.
Because I got a feeling with that flow chart of 12 things you got to do when you dock, it's going to be boring for the rest of the table.
Oh, you do that even in multiplayer?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant that was a solo thing.
Nope.
Oh,
That might be a lot.
got it.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's not like it's a very straightforward. There's a lot of ifs, ands, and some things you can't do depending on your want. Oh,
Oh, there
we're
we
back.
are. We're back. The seas were
I don't know
rough
if,
on there.
I don't know if you could hear us.
Yeah, if you could confirm. I will note, I think this type of game is exactly the type of game though that falls into this. I think you were spot on with this. There were games that I felt were in this vein.
Yeah.
And they were in consideration in that sense. I just ultimately made my decision to do what I did. But Dead Reckoning, as an example.
I would agree, by the way, kids should not play this board game because it's rated R.
Yeah. No, this is one too. Sadly, I have not played.
I think you would love this game.
I feel like I would like this game a lot. So this is one that I'd like. Maybe we can try the multiplayer version.
I'd be down playing it too.
Okay, we'll try it.
Put
on the list.
Put on the list. And that was Merchants and Marauders, my number 3. Totally a pirate game. That takes place largely in the ocean.
Yeah. No, that's completely fair. Completely fair.
Oh, man. And it's so fun when they're gunning for you. All right, go ahead.
Well, my number 3 does not have pirates. Doesn't have marauders either, or merchants. We were all heroes here, trying to save life and not destroy it. In The Spill.
Oh,
this is a co-op game from
Andy Kim.
Shrinking, isn't it? Smirk and Dagger.
Smirk and Dagger.
Yeah.
Designed by Andy Kim, art by Kwanchai Moriai.
Thank you.
Came out 2022. Smirk and Dagger Games.
Smirk and Dagger Games. This is their co-op version of a, work together as a team, and then the game does something to you, a la Pandemic and Horrified kind of a thing. But with a very different theme, and also a pretty, toy factory and unique way of doing the bad stuff, which is that big oil rig in the middle of the table there that serves as sort of a dice tower, oil spreading apparatus. So in the game, you'll play collectively as these different experts that are trying to save sea life. And it's typical, action point allowance thing with a special ability as your particular character that you are. But for most of the time, we're going to be traveling around the outer rim of the board. That black area is where your ships are going to go. The other rings around there are where the sea life, is inhabited. And as the dice come out, they're going to fall into one of those 4 quadrants, and you then place the dice starting from the center outwards. If it hits a sea creature, you flip that sea creature over, and the other side has artwork with it, oil on it, so it is now in danger, so to speak. It's going to take you more action points to rescue an animal that's in that condition, and there's probably someone's special ability that makes that one action, those kind of things. But the other thing that's pretty cool about this is, even though it's, the basic premise is the same, there's a few different ways to change the difficulty. One of those is that on the very top of that board to the left there, you'll see these sort of 3 rows with the green, yellow, and red. That's going to determine how much oil comes out each turn, right? So as that progresses on the top level, you'll see you get the most green. So it's not going to go up until towards the end. Then there's a middle track, and then there's a harder one where it's going to ramp up faster. The other thing that's going to be different is your win conditions are different every game. So there's a deck of cards that's going to define how you win each time you play.
Okay.
Within that deck, there's 3 levels of difficulty. So you can do a level 1 win condition, but on the hardest track on the oil track, or vice versa, wherever. So kind of changes things up. But they're all generally about taking the sea creatures out of the ocean, put them in that grid there. The black part of the grid is where you can remove oil from the board to put it onto your collective board there, so it doesn't go back to the ocean. And that's pretty much it. A couple, like Pandemic, where there's a sort of like a one-time use card. They have those things too, but you have to work for them, which I like.
Yeah.
So you have to finish a whole row of one of each sea creature, for example, or a whole column of removing oil dice, and you get these cubes that you can then allot to these extra cards and sort of use them as a team.
I love the tower in this one. I love that mechanic of it. I just think that's really neat. Obviously, anyone who likes those Pandemic style games.
Yeah.
What I like about this one too is from thematically, it does have this great thing, and you're saving wildlife.
Yeah.
So I could see this in families playing this. I could see this in an educational setting. Like you could see this in so many different places. So
Totally.
I think this game is really good for a lot of different uses, and it goes beyond just a playing game to have fun. You could apply it to lessons. And so I like that. I love when games can be both fun and potentially you can turn into an educational experience, which I think you could totally do here.
Sure.
So and again, that tower is pretty neat. It can be pretty, once you get it together, it's pretty solid too. From what
the tower, the only thing is you do have to take it apart every time. I guess unless you take out the insert, maybe it could stay built, but they stay together pretty well.
Yeah. In terms of like a co-op, what's the win-loss ratio? How difficult is this game?
Well, again, you can kind of tailor it a bit.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll say is that no matter how many players you're playing with, you always use 4 characters in this game.
Okay.
So that part's not going to affect you at all because you're still going to have, a capacity of 4 people doing stuff each turn. I don't know. It was probably about 50-50 for my plays. That's a rough estimate. But
I'm not exact.
But it's one of those games. It's one of those games where you can kind of sometimes run away with it.
Yeah.
And there's times when it's like, ooh, looking pretty bleak. Oh, we pulled it out. And there's times where you're like, all right, couldn't really do anything there.
That's how I feel about Horrified sometimes. But I think Horrified has a higher winning percentage probably than this one. But
cool. That was the spill.
That is the spill.
So my number 2 is actually one that I think you had got the copy of it actually that we played. I believe you had an old copy of this game. You had pulled an old copy of this game and we wanted to try it. I did
pull the old copy.
You had not played it yet. I had not played it. I had a chance to play it, I think, at least 2 times overall. But it just jumped out to me how much I just really like this one. And it's one, Anthony, that I know you are a fan of.
Yeah, I think it is.
It may be.
I think I am.
It may not be what you think it is.
Oh.
Because if you're thinking about one thing, I think it's something else. It was actually Survive.
That's
what would you not be thinking of?
I thought he was talking about the Blue Lagoon.
No.
This is a crossover.
It is. I'll just jump right into that.
Okay.
So it's your number 2, Anthony.
It's my number 1.
Oh, it's your number 1?
Totally.
Holy moly. I kind of figured it would be on your list.
Well, both of you talk about it.
Well, look, the thing I enjoyed about this one is when you start with this board that's got an island on it that you're all trying to get off of and escape because we want to get away. But what I really took away from this one and enjoyed and it kind of jumped out to me is that capability to also sort of escape together at times. So sometimes there was a spot in this game as we're going to leave these islands and get away. Now there are things trying to get us.
There's a lot of
there's a lot of sea creatures and sea life trying to get us. But as we're trying to escape, we're able to move these boats and these pieces, and we're actually able to go on a boat together.
Yeah, the boat has 3 meeple spots on it.
Yeah.
And you don't, and you can be strategic as possible, I suppose, but chaos is just going to ensue in this game. Meanwhile, an island is just completely deteriorating with your people on it, and you have to think: do I move my person on my island still, or do I move this boat because I can really get away? Oh, but that boat also has your person on it, and I don't want your person to necessarily escape to one of the outer locations. So
that's just rude.
No, but and so they've got this push and pull, and as the island deteriorating in front of you makes this such an interactive experience that I just, it was delightful to me.
Yeah, because something's always going to happen. You're gonna take one of those tiles, and so there's 3 different types of terrain. So you're always going to start taking all the sand tiles first, and then once they're all gone, then you can take the forest ones. But one of 2 things is going to happen when you pull up that tile. It's either going to be some animal that comes out immediately, or maybe like a boat, which is nice, or it's going to be some special effect that you keep for a future turn.
Yep.
So, you see someone pick one up and you're like, oh, okay. And they put it down, you're like, oh, man. So now I got to keep that in mind, because on a future turn, when I think I'm being wise and I try to, destroy your ship with a whale, and you pull out this anti-whale device thing, it's always interesting.
Are you Batman?
It's similar. Yeah.
It is a great moment, though. I'm glad you described that, because I love when you flip one over. You've got something good, and there is that moment of what did they just get?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Because you can't decipher, and it will come back to haunt you if you decide to go after one person. They've got their anti-whale device, but now you might be the target when they get the next token that's going to go against you. And again, I go back again, I stand to this, that I love the shared boat potential, because to me that just up the strategic game of it, even though there's so much luck in this.
There is
that concept of, hey, but we're on this boat together, so maybe they're going to go after this one. At the same time, do I want to just get all my people onto this boat and get going? And you have to think about those things. So it's definitely plenty of luck. Don't get me wrong, but holy cow, it is mean.
People are going.
It's very mean.
It is mean, but it's a fun kind of mean.
It really is. It really is. Yes, there's tension here. People are gonna die. But man, is it fun.
There's a lot of betrayal.
Yes.
There's a lot of sharks.
A lot of sharks.
A lot of sea creatures. And the other interesting thing is your meeples are worth different amount of points in this game.
Oh yeah, they have all
anywhere from 6 down to 1.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning of the game, when you're placing them out, you can look at it and be like, all right, well, that's where I'm putting my 6. But you can't look at it anymore until the game's over.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to remember where that 6 is after people start getting shuffled around and falling into the ocean, things like that. And then when you get them to one of the safe corners, you're still not going to reveal what they are until the game is completely over. And then everyone shows their point out.
Oh, that part was one of the craziest things. I remember having one down and then just being like, which number was this?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, did I get the one I wanted?
In fact, the last time I played this, we blindly put them out purposely. I didn't look, actually.
Was that when we played?
It might have been.
Yeah.
No, maybe.
No, was it?
No, we looked at ours.
I thought we looked at ours.
No, we looked at ours. I know we looked at ours.
We played the old one.
You played your old version.
We played the old
long box.
Yeah.
No, but you can save only 2 of your meeples in this game and beat someone who saved like 5 of their meeples.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yes. A betrayal at boat on an ocean. New expansion.
Yes.
Oh my god.
There you go.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right,
but this is totally an ocean game.
This is
that's an ocean.
The ocean just keeps getting more and more prevalent as the game goes on.
Yeah.
That was a good crossover.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's on my list. Apologize.
That's okay.
Would it be on like your top?
What would be your
50 ocean games?
No.
You dislike it?
I really disliked it.
Wow.
I mean, I'll try it again because I want to play the updated version.
Yeah.
But I had a sour time.
I love the chaos. I love the chaos.
I love chaos in board games too, as you know.
Yes.
Right? As you know, with like Cosmic Frog, right? That's super chaotic,
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. This is a little too chaotic. But I'll tell you what.
What's your number 2 pirate game?
It's funny you mentioned that. So this one, when I was talking about solo and piracy, I do love playing this one solo because it is a solo board game, and you can be a pirate in it, but you don't have to because there's different motives you can do in this game.
Okay.
And that ties into sort of your number 4 because this game is called Nemo's War.
Okay.
Second edition, designed by Chris Taylor.
Art by Ian O'Toole.
Art
who's
by
always
Ian O'Toole.
fantastic.
And this is probably my favorite Ian O'Toole look in a board game.
Okay.
Because they nailed it. So, okay. In this game, you are Captain Nemo. And you are going around in your Nemo submarine, right? The Nautilus.
Your Nemo mobile.
Nemo mobile. And you're going to be going around doing different actions and just causing a fuss with everyone. Like you'll be taking out ships and salvaging them for parts. You'll be exploring the wonders of the 7 seas. You'll be flipping over different cards and going through different encounters where you just got to roll dice and hope for your best. And there is so many different ways to lose.
Nice.
Tons of different ways.
Is it? Do you lose very
see all
often
these
in
things
this
that
one?
say defeat? Yeah, I've never won.
Oh my God.
All these things with defeat, like if you get any of those with defeat, you're just done, right? And then even then, if you make it to the end, you might have not a high enough score to have not a nice enough ending. But let me tell you, I adore this game.
Solo though.
It's solo only.
It's solo only.
One
It's
of the
not like
expansions includes multiplayer, and it looks like trash. The multiplayer, solo only game. Okay. You're gonna have a different motive you're going for. One of them is piracy. Another one's war. You're just playing up, just fighting people.
Yeah.
Another's just exploration. You just want to see all the wonders. So you'll be scoring different points for different things you can do throughout the game based on what motive you're going for. And you can also change your motive later on in the game. But you'll also be going through this giant adventure deck, which when you have the expansion, the deck's like this big, but the cards are all like this. So there's a lot of different options. There's cards I have not even seen. But it's great. You roll 2 dice at the start of your turn, and the difference in those dice equal the number of action points you have for that turn.
Okay.
So you could get a lull turn, which is getting doubles. But as the game goes on, you'll increase the dice you'll actually accrue that you're rolling, because all those dice are also placing different boats out on the board, and different harder boats will come out.
So wait, if you're rolling more than 2 dice, how do you?
You choose one of the 2.
You have more options.
You have options.
Oh, so you still just pick 2.
You pick 2.
Okay.
Yeah, you pick 2 for the difference.
So rolling more is advantageous because you can get better action.
You don't need to use all your action points. You could carry over 1 action point from round to round, which is good in doing those like lull turns.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game is phenomenal.
How many times have you played this, do you think?
4.
Okay. That's to win. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's tough. But the thing is, I played it 4 times, but each time is like 2 or 3 hour long.
Yeah.
Like you really feel like you're
seasick.
You're in there. I mean, it's not for everyone. But
how much sweeter it'll be when you get that victory.
I don't know. I might just feel like I've done it. Let me get rid of this. Maybe. No, maybe not. That's how I felt with Ghost Stories.
You should treat it like a video game and try to beat it on every level.
Well, there's different motives. So there's different ways.
So now you got to
do
beat it for every
and
motive.
I do a random motive each time.
Oh, okay.
So.
But now you got to beat it once you beat it
and
in one.
There's different things you can add on. There's crew. So it's a lot of dice rolling modifiers in this game. You could like put like wager some things like let's say a card is letting you use one of your 3 skills above this board over here, all your skills with Nemo, with the crew, and with the ship, and you could edge it to get a plus modifier on there. But if you succeed, great, it goes right back to the left. But if it fails, that marker goes to the right. And the thing is, all of them lose value as they go on, except the Nemo track. The Nemo track, the more damage Nemo takes, he goes madder and more determined. So he actually does really well with it. So that's why this is it's a +3. It's a huge modifier, but if you miss, well,
Yikes.
you just
Into
got
the madness
boned.
you go.
Wow.
But sometimes you don't. And look at this. You see all these boats? There's so many boats I killed in this game. Like, it's crazy. Like, this one, I had the war motive, so I was all about like focusing, just like being the snot of all these boats. And like your notoriety track will go up, and more ships will come out that are much harder to fight. Oh man, it's a blast. So that's Nemo's War Second Edition. If you like a solo, very much like playing with toys kind of thing, you should definitely check this one out.
Cool.
Interesting.
Well, you want to do your number 2?
Oh, I guess we should have his number 2.
My number 2. Speaking of solo,
Mm-hmm.
this is technically not a solo game, although recent breaking discoveries have proven otherwise.
Yes.
This is Jaws, the board game.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite movie. Ryan's second favorite movie.
It's my second favorite movie, but that's...
And most of it, a good half or more of it takes place on the ocean.
For sure.
And if you know anything about the movie, this game is this movie done very well in a box. To the point where it even takes place in 2 acts, where in the beginning of the game, I should say this is a one versus all type of game from Prospero Hall. I can't read the.
Brian Kirk was another designer associated with it.
There you go. One person is going to play the title character, the shark, and the other 3 are members of the crew from the movie. And essentially, in the first act, the Jaws player is trying to terrorize Amity Island as much as possible by secretly moving around the island and eating swimmers. The more swimmers that the shark eats in this first half of the game gives him many more powers and abilities in the second half of the game. The crew is trying to get 2 barrels on the shark to trigger the second act as well. But man, this has got some, hidden movement type thing as a shark. You're looking at your little map of the island. You're looking at where the most swimmers are. There's always going to be an event card that does something and adds swimmers to certain beaches.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the theme is really there. The crew, the characters are spot on with their like abilities and what they can do. Brody staying on land, moving barrels around, trying to close beaches temporarily. Quint's, driving around, trying to shoot the barrels onto the shark. And Hooper's basically transporting barrels and using his shark finding equipment and things like that. It's really, really fun. Second act, you flip the whole board over and build the orca. And now it becomes shark needs to eat everyone or destroy, or if you eat one character, I think, right? Get one person down to 0 health.
No, I think it's all. I think it's all.
Or destroy the whole boat, I think, is the other.
Was it?
Okay. If you destroy the boat, wouldn't that put everyone in the water and they?
When they're in the water, they're easier to get you. Yeah. And that second part becomes this cool kind of game where you're trying to guess as the crew where the shark is going to come up to the boat and sort of attack, because you have these weapons and you got plenty of stuff. And if you do well in Act 1, you have a decent amount of cool like weapons and stuff like that. But you're trying to sort of guess where the shark's going to come up to then do the most damage that you can with your weapon of choice. And Ryan recently discovered that there is a solo app-driven-ish version of this game where you play as the crew and you set up the board physically in front of you, but the app tells you like sort of where to.
And the guy really went out.
Damage.
Really went out on it.
Yeah.
Like
it's got
animation.
Yes, it's got the NES.
It's got the NES vibe to it.
The pixelated artwork, the cool like monochrome music.
Yeah, because I really had no pictures of this game, so I played it solo and then got a bunch of pictures. But yeah, this game's cool.
Yeah, this game is really good.
I haven't played this. I'd like to play this with you guys because you've both talked about it before and I just have not. So
right. Yeah, it's just a really good.
I guess we need a fourth for this.
You get this to the table. You're at the table. You're at the table. Shark's at the table. Our shark.
Dan says that he's had fun with this game, but he hasn't gotten it back to the table yet. He's got a
The Alex Kinter
inside scoop for
expansion.
me. There you go.
I do want to bring up something about this game.
Okay.
And it was the first Prospero Hall game I played. It was also like the one Target exclusive game. I was like, I need to get this day one. Like, I need to get this game and see what it's like. And the amount of love they put into this game, like all the swimmers are all extras in the movie, and the extras in Jaws are extra. You know, like I made sure to take a picture of this one. That's where is it? Right here. That's the shark with Bad Hat Harry. Right over
That's
there.
on Bad Hat Harry.
That's Bad Hat Harry. You know, it's got like all of the extras from that movie that just stood out.
Yeah.
It's such a, you know.
Imagine if you were the
over.
extra and if you like that
got
must
no
be pretty neat.
residuals.
You got no residuals, and now you're
my board game money, Prosper all. You know? But yeah, Jaws the board game did a phenomenal job of translating one of the best movies of all time into a solid board game.
Absolutely.
And I, you know, because even then, like, I remember there was another game that came out like called Shark Island.
Yes.
And that was just like
not good.
No,
it tried to be,
because the problem is this. Jaws is such a perfect movie. Every other shark movie ever, including Jaws sequels, are just.
What about Sharknado?
They're all on the same level, you know. Man. But Jaws, phenomenal pick. It was my number 6.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I guess I'll do my number 1. My number 1. Oh, by the way, Marcel said earlier. Was just checking. How's there not a boat ocean for Final Girl? Where's the ghost ship?
Oh yeah, true.
So my number.
Welcome, Danielle.
I'll tell you. You talked about Merchant Marauders, which one of the reasons why I do think, again, with the travel portion is being incredibly important because you are going around. Yes, you're taking actions in places. My game has a similar component to it. It is a Shem Phillips game. And it is one that I think is vastly underrated. It is Explorers of the North Sea. It is in the North Sea series. And in Explorers of the North Sea, there are multiple ways to score. A lot of those are from just as one point, collecting these animals that are on these islands. There's with the expansion, you can add these actual tiles that are like shipwrecks, and you can get things from there. You can also have a limited amount of buildings that you can build on the island and be able to kind of have a little bit of area control happening.
Okay.
But all your actions are at the core trying to get your people out either to these islands or to collect these resources, and then you got to get the stuff back. So you're constantly going in and out. Now the board is forming as you're going along, you're uncovering new things. I know in the past, Ryan Squirrel has called it, has talked about the fact that thought the expansion makes it a little bit too long. I actually disagree. I think the expansion doesn't add that much time if you know this game, and adds a lot of really good stuff in terms of those shipwrecks and other items that I think are important. This is a game that feels like one of those games, and again, it feels like the North Sea series with things that I like from a few different ways to score very clearly out on your scoreboard that's right in front of you. With the expansion, you get everything that kind of spells it right out. But from the set collection aspect, from the going out and doing the area control, mixes just enough. It's not too complicated. I can teach it to a lot of people. And with the base game, pretty simple, to be quite honest. But at the same time, there's a lot of strategic decisions. What direction am I going to go? What island am I going to go for? Do I want to go for the chickens? Which is what my wife does by default. If there's a chicken in a game, she collects the chicken.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, she loves chickens. Okay. And I really enjoy it. Again, it falls into that kind of love of that tiling that I have of as you're just kind of exploring and uncovering new things. I enjoy that because the board is ever evolving and that changes. So the replayability is also incredibly high for that reason. And yes, it's a Shem Phillips game in my favorite series from Shem Phillips, which is the North Sea series, though. The other one in that series, I've only played the old version, and there's a newer version of it. That's probably my least favorite Shem Phillips game, ironically, but I love the other two more. Raiders of the North Sea being in my top 5 for anyone who has checked my most recent rankings. But yeah, in this one, like I said, it's really enjoyable to think about getting your people out. Where do you want to go? Getting the boat back, bringing out more people, whatever you need to do, because you have only limited amount of people. You have a limited amount of that you're able to put onto the boat. So you have to really think about every action very strategically. And you could go drop someone off on an island way out, and you're not gonna have a chance to get them back.
Sure.
So I like that aspect, and I have to think about how far out do I want to go? Do I really want to try and claim this? This island might be worth for the area control. So a lot of good decisions to make, and one that I will always be happy to put on the table. But I think it's just really underrated because I don't hear as much about this one. And a lot of people talk about the new Shem stuff. They talk about the West series.
There's so many now.
There are so many.
This is one of the earliest ones. And I want to make sure people know about it because if you like that exploration and uncovering new and still enjoy that mechanic of a little bit of area control, a little bit of a set collection, man, it has all of it. So this is my second favorite Shem Phillip game.
Second Shem.
Yeah.
Second Shem.
Yeah. But that is Explorers of the North Sea. Anyone ever wants to play this, just tell me. I'm happy to throw it on the table.
All right. All right.
I think I know what your number 1 is.
I don't think you do.
Really?
I don't think you do.
Oh, maybe it's changed in my mind.
Here's the thing. I had a feeling that this game would have been on either of yours list. And the thing is, it's the second iteration of this game. It's a sequel to another game that was extremely popular, but the first game set in outer space. You know what it is now?
I think I know where we're going here.
We're going underwater.
Yeah.
Because the mission is deep sea. It's the crew.
Yeah.
Mission deep sea.
I haven't played this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you played the original one?
Yes.
Okay. You played Mission Deep Sea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the better version.
This is better version of the crew.
This is the better version of the crew. Yeah. Playing a game of this online right now, actually.
Yeah.
Come
on, guys.
The better version of the game.
It is.
No, it is.
I believe you. I believe
Sorry,
you.
No question.
I believe you. But just make the better version first.
Exactly. It's exactly because
I'm not gonna get the other one now.
Yeah, don't get the other one now because the crew's a phenomenal game.
Oh yeah,
but why get the phenomenal one when you can get the refined phenomenal one?
Yes,
and that's Mission Deep Sea. So the crew Mission Deep Sea. Okay, now the other thing is too the theme. It's ocean themed, but you're not really looking at the cards. Just like in the original crew, you're not really looking at the cards.
Yeah,
you're playing the game. It doesn't feel like going underwater. Okay, you're just trying to achieve tricks.
If you want to read the mission log and try to immerse yourself, go for it. But
this game is such an incredible game. It's a cooperative trick taker, where not only is that a unique take, I think it's a fantastic introductory to trick taking as a whole. So in this game, you're trying to complete different objectives, but before in the original crew, the objectives were kind of just, don't go with this. Some person has to win this card, some person has to win this card. The objectives now are in a really refined deck that will minimize the amounts of impossible situations you may run into based on random card draw. And I think it does it so well that you never need to play the quest for not Planet 9 or whatever. Yeah. Because Mission Deep Sea is the one to absolutely play.
To me, they made it more replayable.
They did.
And that's what it is. And I remember because we were at PAX Unplugged and I was talking to one of the people working the booth.
Yeah.
And it's been a few years, so I don't remember their name, but I know that they were working the booth. I don't know that they were with, the publisher per se. They might have been a volunteer, but they'd been briefed on here's thought process, right? And when I talked to them, they talked about the fact that they really were looking at what worked so well with the crew, but essentially that it sounded like they'd heard the feedback about its overall replayability, and they wanted to make this so this game could continue to hit the table potentially. And it nails it. And it's nice too, because there is that moment where, hey, we can't complete this, we're going to redraw up cards. And that's something that allows you then for those scenarios to say, hey, this is not possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we can't do this. And so
this changes that.
They've accounted for that. They've made it so, no, you can fix that. You'll be okay. And you can play through. But yeah, you want to play, you can borrow my copy anytime. It is such a great iteration. I love this choice in terms of the crew, just because
I think
everyone should play this.
Yeah, but I think it's easy to skip it on an ocean list too, because of how forgettable the theme really is. Because you don't really feel immersed in the theme. You feel immersed in the player experience you have with the other.
Yeah.
Because when you pull off a win in the crew, it is so satisfying. It is beyond satisfying. Like, yes, we did it. Like, we showed this game that we are the ones that won, not you, game. Forget you. Screw you. I'm ready to move on to this next mission. Oh, how are we going to do this next mission?
I will say this. You said something that I think is incredibly important. You said you think you can introduce people with this game. And I want to back that up, because for me, I tried to introduce trick taking with some other games in the past. I think one of the first games that I introduced to my wife with trick taking was Fox and the Forest, because everyone said Fox and the Forest is a great trick taking game.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't work. And it's not theme that teaches trick taking well, in my opinion. It's because Fox and the Forest thematically versus the crew thematically, space, whatever. I could take the theme on either one.
Yeah.
Right. But when I did with the crew, and it was with the original, it just picked.
Yeah.
And then my son picked it up quick, and we were suddenly playing. Now, since then, there's other great trick taking games that I've played, but the game that made her understand the trick taking concept was the crew.
Yeah.
And so I think the crew is one that everyone should have a version of in their library. But if you do not have a version, just go right down to Mission Deep Sea, because it is the one you want to own.
Agreed.
So,
and that was my number one. The crew.
And to your point, that's not a knock on the crew, because the crew is the original crew is a fantastic game. They just learned some things.
They just fine-tuned it.
Yeah, they fine-tuned it, and they made a better game.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else they could do. Like, I don't know how else you could evolve. Like, I think the crew is.
So let's bring up some chat ones. Eddie's bringing up that we missed the mark. Aquamarine and Voyages. I was expecting this on your list.
So I considered Aquamarine and I considered Voyages.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in the top 10, if it makes you feel better. They were still in my top 10. The other one that I did want to mention, honorable mention, if I can throw one in, was one we played recently that I enjoyed, I enjoyed Blue Lagoon.
Oh, Blue Lagoon.
Yeah. And Blue Lagoon I heavily considered. And then I did consider the one pirate-esque game that I had actually very much considered was Dead Reckoning.
Mm-hmm.
Or Seas of Havoc, just because there's a lot of ocean movement.
Yeah.
But I just stuck hard with what I said and wanted to say piracy for piracy.
And also, as honorable mention, Sleeping Gods, Isle of Cats. I mean, Isle of Cats like a boat.
Yeah,
I guess.
I had Isle of Cats on the list, but it didn't even get into the top 10.
Have you guys played Sleeping Gods?
No.
Okay. I do not recommend it. I'm glad, Eddie, you liked it. I had such a miserable time with that game.
And that's the sea sail, which is the trick taking one. I've only played briefly online.
Sail, right? Land versus Sea and Sail.
Oh yeah, Sail from All Play.
Yeah.
That Sail from All Play. I have not played a full game in person. That one I think I might very much like.
Yeah.
Land versus Sea, great little 2-player game.
Yeah.
That's why I think that would be on my top 10.
That's half land though.
Yeah. That's why it would be.
No, I'm kidding.
It is, because someone is the sea and someone is the land. I've never won a game of it though.
Nice.
I've played my wife like
Unfathomable's
10
an
times.
Interesting choice.
It's
Battlestar on an ocean cruise with.
Yeah, I haven't played it to decide, just because
I'd
rather play Battlestar, and I own Battlestar, so I can.
Marcel brought up Nautilus, Sea Salt and Paper.
Look, I love Sea Salt and Paper. I think if the crew can be on the list, Sea Salt and Paper can be on the list. I think it's fair.
Yeah.
And I think Sea Salt and Paper is great.
And
I do love the expansion for Sea Salt and
we
Paper
got
too.
Deep Sea Adventure, Underwater Cities, Fleet the Dice game, which
Fleet was on my short list.
Yep.
Fleet was on my short list. I was
yeah.
surprised.
Now I think about it, I wasn't surprised it's on your list. That was like your all-time favorite at one point. It's still no, it's not anymore, but it was at one
not
point.
all-time favorite. Yeah, no, it's up there for sure. But it probably would have been on the 10 list somewhere. But I picked games that I thought were more ocean-y.
Yeah. And
That's just the approach that I took.
That's a good point. Yeah, the other one that didn't make my list was Bargain Basement Bathysphere.
Oh yeah, I was wondering if that might be there.
That almost made my list.
We got Abyss. I've not played Abyss.
Aquatica also could have made my list. Aquatica's great.
Aquatica's the one that I know you've said we can play sometimes.
Not anymore. I sold it.
Well, yeah. So someone else can.
And Shelf of Shame Plunder.
Oh, that's right.
You say that for the pirate theme. You missed it, by the way. We had a new song in the beginning.
We did?
Because it's a special surf rock
never gonna happen
edition. But
well, can we play out with it? Yeah, on the way out. I like it. Surf rock. Unofficial.
Oh, I put the credit in. Oh. Don't worry. It's free.
I'm not worried. Well, I'm gonna say thanks to everyone. We'll be back next week with Call Aboard, What's on the Table. Tell us what you played with past time. Yeah. Till then. Yeah, we'll see you later. Yeah, still goes.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.